very warm welcome to you all attending this talk today titled "Real Estate is Not Liquid, So Why Get Stuck by Investing in It." Uh, Today's talk, I'm very excited to host talk on behalf of Value Talks, and let me introduce myself. My name is Vikas Bodani. I am I have about 2 decades of experience in the IT industry, and currently I'm running my own firm called Web Data Technologies, and we are providing telecom billing solutions to clients across the world. I'm very happy to be part of the member of a board of experts of Value Talks, and I'm quite thankful for having me at Value Talks. Value Talks is an advisory platform for career, finance, and health. And I'd urge everyone to follow Value Talks YouTube channel, as well as join Telegram channel, the link for which will be shared shortly on the chat. Today's talk is titled "Real Estate is Not Liquid, So Why Get Stuck by Investing in It?" And I'm joined by Captain Vipul Choudhary as an expert on this topic. Vipul has 15 plus years of experience in the real estate sales and real estate finance industry across various cities and markets of India, leading ones being Chennai, Bangalore, and Gurgaon. Vipul is an MBA finance graduate from MDI Gurgaon, and he's also a law graduate. His prior experience also includes serving the glorious Indian Army. So thank you, Vipul, for joining us.
Thank you, Vikas.
So let's begin.
Yeah.
Vipul, you're quite familiar with the real estate industry. So tell me, how do you respond if I say that real estate is one of the most or the least liquid investments? Because the basic premise is that India is a huge country, and Indians use real estate as an investment medium or a vehicle across the world, actually, not just Indians. And so if I claim that it's one of the least liquid investments, for you to convert the asset into cash, how would you respond to that?
I'll accept what you're saying. I don't disagree with that. It's a big transaction. People are slow and deliberate in taking decisions about real estate. So yes, it is a complicated and time-consuming transaction to sell real estate.
Okay, so it's not just a perception; it's the reality, you're saying.
No, it could be a perception in the sense that we can, if we get into the details, yes, it could be a perception, but on the face of it and the way it is typically understood by everyone, I would say that yes, I mean, guilty as charged. There is a lot of truth in what you say. So I accept that claim.
All right.
Then let me ask you another question in that case. If it is not easy to sell real estate, how easy it is to buy real estate?
It's pretty hard. It's equally hard, I believe.
Since the buying part is also complicated, as a buyer, you want to take time, deliberate, think about it, do your diligence, speak to 10 people, consult. Therefore, when I'm coming to sell to you, you are going to take that time.
Wonderful.
So if something takes time, that does not make it illiquid. It makes it slow.
And that's what we are defining liquidity as. Liquidity is how fast can you convert the asset into cash.
Okay, that's one aspect of liquidity.
Okay, please enlighten us on the other side of
what are you comparing it to and saying that this is illiquid? Compared to what?
Compared to, let's say, all the other investment options which could be considered equivalent to cash, like cash itself, stocks, bonds, fixed deposits. All these asset classes are pretty liquid.
So one, you said cash.
And you don't lose value. That's a very important part of the liquidity, is that when you convert the asset.
No, we will talk about that losing value part. The first is cash. Second, you said bonds.
Stocks.
Or stocks. Okay.
Fixed deposit.
Bonds and fixed deposit, can we park it on under one class because they are both debt-based assets?
Mhm.
Okay. So uh, cash. Okay, cash is, yes, cash is liquid. Cash is you can carry it in your pocket, or you can carry it in a debit card, or different kind of cash can be carried. In a UPI nowadays, we have the UPI apps which are cash equivalent. Bonds, fixed deposits, again, yes, of course, they are liquidable in 72 hours, etc. But is an equity share or a stock also liquid? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you can put in an order in the morning and you can cash out immediately, right?
Okay. Let's have a discussion there. Because I tend to disagree there.
Mhm.
So let's say you buy a Tata Steel share today for $1,000, just as an example, right? And after a month, you want to go in the market and sell it at $2,000, wherein the market is, let's say, market has taken a dip, and the share is selling at 800. Would you be able to sell it?
If I need the cash, I'm immediately able to sell it and get the
You'll
money
be immediately able to sell it at what price?
at the market price.
So I'm saying the market price is $800. It's not the $1,000 at which you had purchased.
Which is a good point, because if we take the same analogy and we say that the you want to sell your real estate asset at the
So how
market.
many times can you take 20% hit in a month on a real estate asset?
You really can't, and it's kind of disappointing to do it. But
So
the point is that
the point is stocks are not liquid.
they are,
Stocks are not liquid. Stocks at a certain price point are liquid.
which
So
which which doesn't apply equally to the real estate.
it
Where
does,
is
it does. Now real estate is not like old times. It is an equally big marketplace with a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers. Yes, it is slow. I'm not denying that it is not slow.
Mhm.
Um, but then, how many times as a retail investor are you going to buy 50 lakh worth stocks or equity shares? Uh, let's say in a marquee company like Infosys, if you have 50 lakh rupees today, would you go and park your 50 lakh rupees in Infosys?
Well, I think let me ask you the same question, Vipul. I think
Yeah.
your question is pretty genuine, but my I really want to focus on the real estate as an investment medium. And so the question, let's take a figure, let's say 25 lakhs.
Mhm.
So what would you prefer, 25 lakhs in the bank, or would you prefer 25 lakhs worth of a real estate assets
What
in?
do I want to do? It's as simple as that. Why invest at all? You can keep all your money in a fixed deposit. Why do you need to invest at all?
Mhm.
What is the need for investment? What is the rationale behind investment? जरूरत ही क्या है यार? क्यों रियल एस्टेट, क्यों स्टॉक्स, किस लिए वोलेटिलिटी फेस करना, किस लिए ये सारी परेशानी में जाना कि मेरे को जब बेचने निकलूंगा तो मिलेगा नहीं, सिर दर्द होगा? आप आराम से उसको अपना फिक्स डिपॉजिट में रखिए स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया में,
Mhm.
बढ़िया से आपको 4.5% का ब्याज देगा हर साल, सर्टिफिकेट भी देगा, और जिस दिन चाहिए उस दिन आप अपना 1% ब्याज का नुकसान करा के, अगर मान लीजिए आपने 5 साल का फिक्स डिपॉजिट कराया और आपको 3 साल बाद ही उसको तोड़ने की जरूरत है, तो
Mhm.
3.5% पे तोड़ देगा, अगर उसने 4.5% ब्याज का, और 3.5% ब्याज लास्ट डे तक का कैलकुलेट करके आपको दे देगा. तो व्हाई
Correct.
डू यू नीड टू इन्वेस्ट? फिक्स डिपॉजिट्स हैं.
That's great. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I totally agree, and I agree on the other two parts as well, where you say that since buying is slow, then therefore,
Oh,
that,
okay, so a misconception has been created about real estate, especially by people who try to sell mutual funds, that real estate is illiquid. नहीं भाई, it is not illiquid. At what point? How do you measure that point? Stocks and mutual funds are equally illiquid. If it is, see, the idea about making an investment in any asset class, and please understand, cash and fixed deposit is not an asset class. That is a way to keep cash.
yeah,
आपके पास कुछ नकद है जो सरप्लस है, जो आपको महीने के खर्चों में नहीं चाहिए, तो उसको आप थोड़ा सा अलग रख देते हैं. That
Hmm.
is not an investment. The basic idea behind investment, why any of us needs to invest, you, me, anyone in this world, because we probably live for 75 years, not probably. अभी इंडियन लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी फॉर पीपल लाइक यू एंड मी 75 years. 25 साल पढ़ाई में निकाल दिया जब तक माँ बाप ने पढ़ाया. और जैसे जैसे अब इंडिया चेंज हो रहा है कि भाई लोगों की पेंशन नहीं होगी, तो कॉलेज की एजुकेशन खुद ही आफ्टर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम विल हैव टू फंड आवर ओन कॉलेज एजुकेशंस. सो
Hmm.
25 साल माँ बाप ने पढ़ाया, 30 साल आप काम करेंगे. सो दैट इज लेट्स से 55, 35 कर लेंगे, 60. हाउ डू यू सर्वाइव द बैलेंस 15-20 years? वन. सेकेंड, आपके माँ बाप ने पढ़ाया तो आपने भी बच्चे पैदा किए. सो अब आपको उनका भी टेक केयर करना है. एंड यू हैव टू, इफ योर पेरेंट्स हैव spend money in your education and your marriage, you're carrying a debt. You have to repay that debt.
Hmm. No, I
So, so,
understand
so
that.
you have those major financial obligations because of which you need to invest, and your rate of return has to be more than probably what inflation is, or probably what you'll be able to afford those things in future. 15,
Okay.
20 years of non-productive life, or where you are not economically productive but you're consuming. My father is 74. He is not productive economically, but he consumes. Thankfully, he's a pensioner. Otherwise, he would have had to create assets जो उनको उस आज की स्टेज में रिटर्न्स दे रहे होते.
Very good point.
So the point is, and similarly, like he spent money on my education, he spent money on my higher education, he spent money on my marriage. That was because he was able to make those investments. And now, if I don't make those investments, and if my rate of return is as lousy as 4% in a fixed deposit, then will I be able to meet my future obligations? And if I'm not able to meet my future obligations, a reverse question would be, is liquidity even desirable? Why do I need liquidity?
And that too for let's say an investment, you probably don't, and it's probably a better principle. But I'm not like kind of giving in. The talk is really focused on the topic. And let me just step back, Vipul, and kind of
Hmm.
just redefine, kind of rephrase what liquidity, what we're referring to liquidity has as in this
Hmm.
topic.
Hmm.
Liquidity would be defined as something that how fast, how
Hmm.
quickly, or
Hmm.
and how easily you can convert your asset into cash
Hmm.
without losing a lot of value. That is at a fair value. How fast can you convert? And so my question is coming up, which
Hmm.
is why does it happen that if you buy a property and you
Hmm.
turn right around
Hmm.
and you try to sell it, you can't
Hmm.
sell it at the same price you bought it for? And that's where I'm saying that it's
So,
illiquid.
so Vikas, the point I would make here is, if your idea is that you turn around and sell a real estate property in 1 year, why are you even investing? What is
Yeah,
the
can you
need to
explain
make
that?
that? No, so in that case, this discussion is I concede everything. Then let's not invest in real estate. Okay. By definition, let's have a conversation here. Anyone, and I have been in real estate for 14 years. I've dealt with a lot of clients. Why do you think anyone would ever sell real estate? And there are very specific reasons I've seen people selling real estate.
Typically, when you're in need of cash, you would want to sell
No,
one of
no,
your assets.
no, no. People don't sell real estate when they're in need of cash. And why do you need cash in life? Why
uh,
do you
for
need cash?
for an expenditure for
For that you work. For that, all of us work and we earn regular incomes and we generate month on month income. You don't sell your house and even if I have, let's say, inherited a house from my father, I'll not sell it and run my household income or my household on a regular income.
no, see the
भाई घर चलाने के लिए तो धंधा करते हैं, नौकरी करते हैं. प्रॉपर्टी बेचकर, गांव की जमीन बेचकर थोड़ी घर चलाते हैं लोग.
mm, there are various you look at Indian society, you
Hmm.
people. people sell their real estate for, their daughter's marriage, for
Okay,
unforeseen
now let's
events.
now I'll ask you to
So
hold on that
I
thought.
don't want to get into the financial planning because
No,
we will be
it's not
digressing.
about that. No, it's not that. That is where it is. So
Mm,
I want you to hold on to that thought. So my daughter right now is, let's say, 8 years of age. No,
mm,
not, let's say she would be eight very soon. Now, if I purchase a real estate today, assuming that she's going to get married, for which I'm purchasing a real estate today, why
mhm.
would I want to sell that real estate next year? Because
Right.
she's not going to get married at 9.
Mm,
Given the today's scenario, probably she'll get married at 28. So I have 20 years for that real estate to mature to become an asset which wherein it is multiplied in value, wherein it is an asset which will provide me for that particular financial obligation for which I've created that asset.
okay. So I
So
get the
so
point.
I would like to shape up this discussion in a certain manner wherein I'm able to explain what I'm trying to say. Typically, there are four reasons which I've seen when people want to sell real estate.
Mhm.
First is what you said, when they want to settle a major financial obligation, which can be a kid's education, which can be a kid's marriage, which can be starting a business for their kids or something like that.
Mhm.
And this real estate, people typically create with that idea that they will do it for this. This is not the primary house they are living in. I don't buy a primary house assuming that after 20 years I'll sell it and marry my daughter.
Mhm. Exactly.
So that is a property which has been created with that intent to meet that financial obligation, and that particular financial obligation has a broad timeline in mind. Okay, my daughter is 8 years now. She can marry after 18. She can marry after 20. She can marry after 22. But it is very unlikely she'll marry after 4 years, right? The law will not allow her to marry for next 13 years. So the minimum time I'll have to hold that real estate, which I purchase, let's say for settling my daughter's marriage, is going to be a 13-year wait. And if I'm buying a property which is kind of there, which I understand will multiply in a certain value in 13 years, at that 13 years, would it be illiquid? May not be. So that is one. And marriage, not just marriage, kids education. Let's say I want to send my daughter abroad, I want to send her to Harvard. I want to create an asset which in present terms can fund around 2 crores of her education another 15 odd years down the line. So I have those 15 years to create 2 crores from, let's say, 30, 40, 50 lakhs of investments today. Why would I like to sell it next year? Would it be illiquid after 15 years? That we'll talk about. Second reason which I've seen when people want to sell real estate is when they want to upgrade or change their place of residence. Let's say I am living in Gurgaon today. I want to retire and settle in Dehradun. So
Mhm.
probably I would like to sell my Gurgaon house and then move to Dehradun. But I'm 45. I would not be going to Dehradun for next 15 odd years before I retire. Or I'm already staying in Gurgaon in a 3 bedroom house and I want to upgrade to a 4 bedroom house, or I want to upgrade to a different location. So that is the second reason why people want to sell real estate.
Okay.
Third reason why people want to sell real estate is there can be times when people have financial setbacks. There could be a loss in business, downturn in the economy, and they have to somehow come up with some cash for meeting those obligations, which is not usually the case with the working class people. That's typically more of a business kind of a people, and they handle real estate in a very different manner. They are not really bothered about liquidity aspects and all. For them, real estate is where they have parked their excess money for being used in these kind of situations. And fourth, which I've seen, which where this particular question comes up the most, that real estate is not liquid, is where people have invested their money in some project which was under construction, and the project has got stuck. बिल्डर भाग गया है, प्रोजेक्ट बन नहीं रहा है, मैंने 1 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट लिया था, मेरे 70 लाख रुपए लग गए, और आज उसको कोई खरीदने वाला नहीं है, और मैं अपना माथा पीट रहा हूँ, कह रहा हूँ कि भैया यहाँ से मेरे को निकालो, और उसका कोई बायर नहीं है. So that's a dispute. It is not
That's a
about being
different thing.
illiquid. या
That's
तो वो आप स्टॉक्स ले लीजिए आप लोगों ने फ्रैंकलिन टेम्पल्टन के डेट फंड में पैसा लगाया था, डेट फंड, ट्रिपल ए रेटेड। जब वहां पर डेट फंड्स के अंदर डिफॉल्ट होने लगा, डीएचएफएल और इन सब का डिफॉल्ट हुए, तो डेट फंड का भी पैसा निकलने से मना हो गया। तो इट इज एज लिक्विड एज स्टॉक प्रोजेक्ट इन रियल एस्टेट। सत्यम के अंदर लोगों ने पैसा लगाया था, वो स्टॉक जब गिरा ड्यू टू अ फ्रॉड इन सत्यम, it was as illiquid as any other real estate. So if the reasons are right, real estate is not illiquid. It is slow. It is slow because it is a big decision. It is not investing 10,000 rupees in टाटा स्टील का शेयर और इन प्लस गैस लिमिटेड के 50,000 रुपए के शेयर और 30,000 रुपए के शेयर. You are going to make an investment which starts at 25 lakh, 50 lakh, 75 lakh, 1 crore. So if you as a buyer would take time to deliberate, to go through, to understand, to then similarly you are going to take time. So the selling is also going to take time. And now if I know that let's say I'd made a investment in real estate with a certain idea कि हाँ भाई मेरे को अपने बच्चे को हार्वर्ड भेजना है आज से 20 साल बाद, मेरा 2 साल का बच्चा है, मैंने उसके लिए इन्वेस्ट किया, तो वो जिस दिन 18 साल का हो गया, 19 साल का हो गया, दैट इज द टाइम आई शुड स्टार्ट मेकिंग द एफर्ट टू लिक्विडेट दैट पर्टिकुलर पीस ऑफ एसेट. व्हाई शुड आई से कि जिस दिन मेरे बेटे का वीजा आ गया उसी दिन मैं कोशिश करना शुरू करूंगा.
fair enough, Vipul. So you're saying you accept it's not as liquid, but you can't really call it illiquid because the assets.
I don't even desire liquidity when I'm trying to create wealth.
Plus, you're saying that you got to आपको jaldi ही मतलब when you start anticipating the need, you have to start looking out for.
But that is how it has been created. That's the design. That's the part. It's why do we even need to create a competition between fixed deposit and real estate?
Okay, I take that a response as a very good response, and I really don't want to uh, press on that point more because I think you covered it pretty well. But it's not that just that part. There are other aspects. Let me move on to the other second part.
Please.
Where this is justified in a way, and I think I like your enlightenment on this. Is that there's a sizable investment. It's not a small investment. So
Mhm.
that's one part that you said that it's could be termed as a liquid because it's sizable. The other thing is that there's a very inefficient price discovery in the real estate. You really
Is
don't.
it?
There are no public markets or exchanges like the stock market.
Okay. There may not be public markets or exchanges, but that does not make the price discovery inefficient.
Tell me how is it inefficient? How is efficient it is? Because if let's just take any property.
You give me an example, I'll tell you how it is efficient.
Pick a property. Try to find the price. How are you going to find the price?
I'm saying you give me a property, I'll tell you as to how you can go about finding the price. The price may not be palatable to you, but we can find the price.
We're not talking about palatability of price. I don't want to give you a prominent property, but let's take a flat in some residential area in some sector in Gurgaon, and how you do go about discovering the price. And as a buyer, you're a buyer or a seller. Let's say you're a seller.
Okay.
Um,
So let's say I'm a seller. What I'll do is the moment I want to sell a particular property let's say I own X property in sector 70 of Gurgaon.
mhm.
It is very unlikely that in sector 70 of Gurgaon, it is only going to be one property which I own is there. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता because market is now wide and deep. So there are property classified websites where you get a lot of these options. I mean, a lot of listings which kind of give you an introductory price as to what is the operating price of different real estate there. When I say that, the area price.
Hmm.
So let's say sector 70 would have a price of, just for the sake of discussion, say 10,000 rupees a square foot is the area price, the location price. So I get a fair bit that this is the range I should be looking at, 10,000 rupees a square foot, give or take here and there. Then I zero down to the particular project which I want to sell. Now in that particular project, let's say that's one of the better projects in that area. So I am getting a better than average. I am getting a 15% markup on the area price. So my price is then 11,500. Then I see what is the desirability of my particular unit which I want to sell. Do I have a corner unit? Do I have something which has a particular facing? I add a premium, or if it is less desirable, I subtract that premium from my property price.
Mm.
And that's how I get to a range of a particular price. And then I start speaking to people who are dealing in that particular area, interview them, understand what is the prevailing price, what kind of a demand prevails in that particular area, what is the occupancy rate. That gives me a fair idea of how much time I should take to be able to sell. Now I'll come to one more point here. When people say about liquidity of real estate vis-a-vis stock markets, etc., the question is how many times these people do an equivalent transaction in the market.
It's not about how many times you do. It's about having an
No,
ability to
I
do it or not.
that's what I'm coming to, and I'll tell you
Plus,
why.
plus,
Why? Wait a minute. I'll give you data which you'll have to then help me understand. I Let's say you own 1,000 shares of Tata Steel.
mhm,
How big a shareholder you are of Tata Steel?
very minority.
Insignificant,
Yeah.
right? So you can go to the stock exchange and you can sell 1,000 shares of Tata Steel. And let's say if Tata Steel today is at 107. So 107 rupees. So let's say you own 10,000 shares of Tata Steel just to make the calculation more significant. So 10,000 into 107, we are talking about a movement of 10 lakh 70,000 rupees, right?
Mm.
If the ticker is at 107 today in the equity market, you want to sell your 10,000 shares, you'll have to bid it at either 1 paisa less or exactly at 107.
Hmm.
And if the market is falling, you bid it at 108, your 10,000 shares will remain with you till evening. You'll not be able to sell it.
I'm
You're
trying.
negotiating there.
I'm trying to
You're
follow your
negotiating
point.
there. One second.
Okay.
You're negotiating there, right? So you have a price. You'll have to come slightly less than that. Only then you'll be able to sell 10,000 shares. But now let us say instead of 10,000 shares, you are a majority shareholder in Tata Steels and you have 10% of Tata Steel shares.
Mm.
And you log into your terminal today, National Stock Exchange terminal, you ask your broker to unload your 10% shares on the market. What will happen to Tata Steel shares today?
Yeah, you're going to sell a huge chunk, and you're going
What
to
will happen to the valuation?
you influence the price.
What will happen to the valuation?
It's likely to go down.
It's likely to take a huge hit suddenly because people will be surprised as to why someone is trying to sell 10% of the Tata Steel today.
Okay.
So the prevailing price will not hold. Why I'm doing this is, so what happens is particularly the market is equally illiquid when big retail equity deals are happening, which usually happen off the counter. They do not come to the exchanges and happen. So if you as a 10% owner of Tata Steel wants to sell 10%
So I
Tata
understand the
Steel
point.
share,
Understand the point. The ticket size is high, and so when you're trying to sell a big ticket thing, it's the same analogy, right? But
is the same analogy, similar. So what I'm trying to say, if you want to hold on to your price when you're trying to sell your real estate, you'll have to go through the slow, deliberate process, understanding, speaking to, giving it the required time. Now you have to imagine that you are actually making one of the biggest financial transactions of your lifetime. You made one when you are buying something, and now you are making another when you're selling that asset. So you'll have to give it that kind of time so that you realize the best value possible. And if you hold on, if you have the right kind of patience, and if you have the right kind of deliberation, real estate can be marvelously rewarding.
uh, I've noted your points. So Earlier, just right after our question, you described the process of, an X flat in sector 70 of Gurgaon.
So I said, so once you have reached, once you have a fair idea of what the price of your particular property is, then I would like to get a fair idea of two, three, four properties nearby, desirability of those properties. How do I stand? Where do I get stacked in terms of being picked up? Then what is the inventory available in the market? Where do I compete? What are the requirements of the other people who are trying to sell the inventory?
Exactly what I meant when I said an inefficient price discovery is that
Uh,
that's a long deliberate process of discovering the price. And
so
the
it is
time
not inefficient. It is time consuming because it is a big ticket item. But that does not make it any less rewarding. The financial reward which you are getting out of that particular sale needs that kind of time. As I said, if you want to sell 10% of Tata Steel today, you'll have to hire up an investment banker. You'll have to find an eligible party so that you are able to get, and probably that person will be able to get you a price higher than the market price, because the investment banker will be able to tell that person that you're getting 10% of Tata Steel, which if you hold for next 10 years, this is the upside you are buying.
It sounds like you're saying that it's that the reason that it is the price discovery is difficult and time consuming, and you're saying that that's the basis of you're getting a very lucrative profit out of it.
Yeah,
That's what.
as an investor, smart investors make a lot of money in real estate, and especially when they work with the right kind of people. Real estate is not something which should be investment class looked at trading in 6 months to a year, or trying to make a quick buck on the go, or flipping the way people do it in equities. I'll hold it for a week or a month or something, and then no. Real estate is a very, very serious asset class. It should be taken with a lot of deliberation, and it is an asset class जिससे लोग बहुत पैसा कमा सकते हैं.
Okay. uh, I want to ask the same question in a slightly
Hmm.
different way. Maybe
Hmm.
you can share some wise nuggets
Hmm.
for the listeners,
Hmm.
that how can you navigate yourself as a seller in this market, where you shared a long drawn process and a time consuming process of
Hmm.
doing
Hmm.
that. uh, you're selling, oftentimes when you're selling,
Hmm.
you are dependent on very few brokers, who um, if you try to kind of make a deal with, they'll often convince you with various reasons on why the property market is you, currently in this market you can't really get the price you are seeking, and so on. So this is another way, I'm saying that it's kind of the price discovery is inefficient because it's very perceptive based on the few people who are available to kind of help you with the sale. So how do you navigate this kind of a
if
situation?
if if
Help us
if
as a
there
seller.
if there is a difference, a dichotomy in what one is saying and what is happening. Let's say you say there are few buyers, but then you tell me that there are three people who want to visit your property.
Mm,
That means there is a dichotomy. But if you genuinely tell me there are few buyers and then there is no one who's coming to buy for a long time, I should understand that probably I'm not doing the right price discovery.
okay.
So the point I'm trying to make here, Vikas, okay, let's understand it like this. I help a client in making a purchase, which in my assessment is safe, marketable, and I ask that client to, that client has, let's say, purchased this property for 20 years to make a sale when the client's child
Can
is
you,
25
can you,
years.
can you, can you share a practical scenario which is more on the selling side?
Okay, yeah. So
The
let's say there I'll cover three things here. One, entry point.
Mhm.
Second, exit point. And where would demand and supply happen? Okay. And I'll take a live example of, let's say, Sona. So let's say I have a client who comes to me with a child who's 6 years of age, and he says that he or she says that I want to create an asset wherein when my child is 26 years of age, I should be able to settle the marriage with this asset. And I have 25 lakh rupees to invest today, out of which 5 lakhs is what I will invest and 20 lakhs is what I'll raise as a home loan for 20 odd years. Right? I say, okay, sir. Let's look at a option in Sohna, which is 20 kilometers from Gurgaon, wherein you'll be able to buy a two-bedroom house in Sohna for 25 lakh rupees, wherein you'll be able to raise a 80% loan and everything, etc., etc. This ready to move in, or maybe 6 months to a year, you'll be able to occupy the property. For
Mhm.
next 20 years, this man or this family gets a rental income out of it, pays off the loan. My assessment is that in next 20 years, given the way Sona is growing in Gurgaon, this property should earn at least a 12% compounded growth. Can go even as high as 15% compounded growth, which implies that now this person's property, which was purchased at 25 lakh rupees, if it is 15% compounded, then it would be around 4 CR in 20 years. If it is 12% compounded, it would be around 3 CR in 20 years. So that person is now kind of set for meeting the marital expenses of the child for which the property was obtained. Now we'll talk about the demand and supply and the liquidity aspect where when we say liquidity. So liquidity of real estate, like any other asset class, depends on demand and supply. Now, what creates demand in real estate? There are two major factors which create demand in real estate. Density of population in a particular area. So Sona right now is a sparsely populated area. It is still coming up. There are newer projects coming up. Infra is getting developed, and it's not very heavily populated. But in next 20 years, there'll be more projects. More people would have settled in. More schools, more hospitals, more roads, more cinema halls, etc., etc. So the density of population would have built up by then. A certain consumption of population would have established by then, which will make the property which is today at 25 lakh rupees probably illiquid, that we are able to buy it from directly from the builder. He also is taking 4 years to sell. So it is illiquid. But in next 20 years, it will have a certain liquidity at 3 CR because the density has increased. And supply diminishes when the density increases.
Right. So it's actually the flip side is that the supply is diminished.
So it makes the property more liquid. For example, today Dwarka is a very liquid place. You can sell a property flat in 2 months if you are in alignment with the market price.
Mhm.
Because there are a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers. It's a very densely located area. Janakpuri in Delhi is a very liquid place because there are a lot of buyers and very few sellers. There are hardly any sellers, there's hardly any inventory. The second thing is
Yeah.
the, the ticket size of the property.
Okay.
So let's say if we talk about Jaipur, then C scheme typically has very big houses. Because of the ticket size, the number of eligible buyers in the overall population is less. But smaller apartments in C scheme, they sell very fast because there is a huge demand, it's a very dense area, and the supply is limited.
Okay. Interesting.
So with time, the population density in every area increases, cities continue to expand, which increases the demand and reduces the supply. And if I have a smaller ticket property, then I'll be more liquid.
Makes sense.
So the point I was trying to make here that if I am the one who is making an investment with a perspective or with an objective in mind, this is how I would look at that particular area. What
So
would drive the density, and how small is the ticket of my property, which
so
is in future
so
also going to remain small.
so thank you for sharing those two important reasons behind the liquidity increase in the. But no, now I want to put you in that position which you've given me yourself.
Hmm.
आप वो सी स्कीम वाले बड़े प्लॉट वाले ओनर हो, अब
Hmm.
आपको बेचनी है एंड हमारा पॉइंट है कि ये इलिक्विड है, आप बताइए
हाँ.
इसको कैसे आप स्पीड अप करेंगे
सर,
और
वो इलिक्विड है बिकॉज ऑफ द टिकट, तो उसमें थोड़ा सा समय और लगेगा क्योंकि सी स्कीम का 1200 गज की प्रॉपर्टी अगर हो और वो 50 करोड़ की है तो 50 करोड़ का आदमी ढूंढने में समय लगता है. 50 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट अगर कोई 50 करोड़ का सामान बेचेगा, या अगर दिल्ली के लुटेंस में अगर आप 200 करोड़ का प्रॉपर्टी बेचेंगे, वहां भी समय डिमांड की कमी की वजह से नहीं है। लुटेंस दिल्ली जहाँ एक एक बंगलो प्रॉपर्टी इज 500 CR, there is heavy demand, less supply. But now a 500 CR buyer will take time to deliberate, to understand, to go through the diligence process. Though if there is a genuine seller, and I say this, in Luton's Delhi, if there is a genuine seller, एक साल में 500 करोड़ का ट्रांजेक्शन भी हो जाता है on one single property.
All right.
It's that desirable real estate.
I'm not satisfied with the response because I'm putting myself in the shoes of that seller in C scheme. I'm trying to imagine how is he going to get his cash.
He has to be genuinely willing to sell. If he is, he would get someone. In a city like Jaipur, there would at least be 50 people who would like to buy that kind of a property.
Okay.
There would be a lot of haggling, there would be a lot of negotiation, yes, but he would be able to sell.
Okay, I'll try to get some answer in a different way. Let's so understood कि ticket size बहुत ज़्यादा है, you know.
बट अगर आपके पास में छोटी टिकट का प्रॉपर्टी है और आपने उसमें सफिशिएंटली वेट किया है कि उस एरिया की डेंसिटी बिल्डअप हो जाए, वो एरिया पॉपुलेट हो जाए, तो आपकी प्रॉपर्टी लिक्विड होती जाती है. इट कंटिन्यूज टू गेट लिक्विड.
You're saying that from an investment perspective, you should आपको प्रेफर करना चाहिए कि you are choosing a size, a medium size, not a
small and medium, not big properties. Yeah.
Right.
From an investment perspective, yes.
Well, I think I'll take that as a response to that question. Let me move on. So, oftentimes as sellers, एक problem आती है कि due to the economic conditions भी change होती रहती हैं, and then that also affects कि आप कितना जल्दी buy and sell कर सकते हैं.
वो नहीं, विकास, मैच्योर प्रॉपर्टीज में प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती है, हमें ऐसा लग रहा है. वो उस वक्त की इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन,
all properties not mature or something, let's say we're talking about suburbs and
वो तो सब जगह होगा यार. वो तो इक्विटी मार्केट भी, कोरोना है तो इवन इक्विटी मार्केट टुक अ हिट, वो भी बैठा. सो वो तो दोज आर मैक्रो इश्यूज, मैक्रो इम्पैक्ट्स. सब, इट इज नॉट जस्ट रियल एस्टेट, दैट इज गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट एवरीवन.
ठीक है. So I think it's pretty genuine to accept that. I will accept it. So there is one more thing about, we talk about inefficient price discovery, and then you shared a lot of details. दूसरी चीज है कि as a seller, your payment you're worried about the payment settlement, right? Sale deed हो गया, and then
हाँ, उसमें 2-3 महीना लगता है रियल एस्टेट के अंदर. सो उसमें पेपर वर्क अगर आप अच्छे से करते हैं, एंड इफ यू हैव बीन, if the buyer is clearly eligible, and if there is no punting of front running happening, तो पेमेंट सेटलमेंट्स हो जाती हैं 2-3 महीने.
Share any due diligence wisdom or any one or two?
जनरली क्या होता है, जिन प्रॉपर्टीज में हेवी डिमांड होती है, वहां पर कई बार मार्केट के जो प्लेयर्स होते हैं वो फ्रंट रनिंग करने की कोशिश करते हैं.
फ्रंट रनिंग का एक्सप्लेन करिए.
आप प्रॉपर्टी बेचना चाहते हैं सेक्टर 56 गुड़गांव में, मुझे पता है कि यहाँ पर डिमांड अच्छी है, 2 करोड़ की आपकी प्रॉपर्टी है. मैं आपसे बोलता हूँ सर अच्छा, मैं आपसे एग्रीमेंट कर लेता हूँ 2 करोड़ में, एंड आई विल सेल इट एंड गिव यू मनी इन 3 months, एंड आई एम नॉट एलिजिबल टू पे यू 2 crores अदरवाइज.
अच्छा,
मेरी खुद की काबिलियत नहीं है कि मैं 2 करोड़ रुपया रेज कर सकूं. देन आई स्टार्ट फाइंडिंग अनदर बायर इन द मार्केट, बिकॉज आई होप टू सेल इट एट लेट्स से 2 crore 20 lakh rupees. तो जो 20 लाख मैंने आपको दिया, मैं उस पर 20 लाख और कमाना चाहता हूँ. सो वहां अगर मैं एलिजिबल बायर नहीं ढूंढ पाया विद इन अ स्पेसिफाइड टाइम, आई माइट डिफॉल्ट ऑन दैट एग्रीमेंट. So that is one diligence which a seller should be careful about. That is he actually getting into an agreement with the actual buyer who is going to consume the property and has the eligibility to pay. तो ये mid trade front running करने वाला तो नहीं है जो मतलब मेरे उसको आगे लेकर के जा रहा है.
You're saying that should people avoid front running?
They should understand. Nothing is avoid or this thing. They should know what is happening.
Okay. They should know what to expect.
Should you be doing drunk driving? No, you should not be. But you should know that if you are drunk and you're driving, you're running a risk.
So it's clear enough. Point. Any other due diligence as a seller?
No, as such, no. If you are not into front running and if you have checked the buyer's uh, payment eligibility, then
So how would
दो
you do?
तीन महीने समझ आता है कैसे आप पेमेंट करेंगे, किस लिए खरीदना चाह रहे हैं. ऑल दीज आर पार्ट ऑफ नेगोशिएशन.
Do you recommend any people to involve in such a situation?
Usually you should hire a good broker. You should you should speak to the buyer. How would he like to make the payment? What is the initial commitment the person pays? 2 करोड़ की प्रॉपर्टी में अगर वो मेरे को 20-30 लाख रुपया दे रहा है तो बायर भी तो रिस्क ले रहा है ना फिर. His money is also coming to me.
His money is at stake.
Yeah.
You're creating a skin in the game.
Correct.
All right. So, what is the ideal duration for remaining invested in a real estate property?
No, I'll not say. There is no ideal duration. For me, I probably would buy properties and sit on them and pass them as inheritance because I find real estate to be a very, very marvelous asset class. Chosen properly, it's a wonderful asset class. But when when you're making investments with a certain objective in mind or so-called goal-based investment or whatever the technical jargon is, then it implies that at that point you'll have to make that sale unless until it is a house where you'll stay. So let's say I purchase a house where I'll stay. That is one part of it, right? Second is that I've made an investment with a particular objective. I want to send my kid abroad. That at that point in time, I'll have to make that sale. So then the ideal time is that 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, whatever I have given for that particular objective.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's quite valuable talk, people. काफी कुछ सीखने को मिला, समझने को मिला. I think the basic premise has also been kind of handled pretty well. That it's a different asset class. इसको आपको थोड़ा different तरीके से समझना है and expectations set करना है. So with that Vipul, मैं audience में से I'll let before I allow audience to ask questions. On behalf of Value Talks, I'm thankful to Value Talks for letting me host this talk today.
Yep.
And I have a promotion to share from Value Talks. Let me just share my screen. So,
meanwhile, if the audience has any question, they can put it in the chat box.
Sure. Yeah, please. Everyone. So I'd like to promote on behalf of Value Talks an NGO. This NGO is called Vastra, and this NGO is working in the field of reducing neonatal mortality, particularly caused due to inadequate and unhygienic clothing. This NGO was founded in November 2018 by Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Parminder Kaur, and it's you can follow the activities of this NGO on their website, which is www.vastrr.in, and you can learn more about the activities of the NGO. On behalf of Value Talks, I'd also encourage the viewers, listeners to donate to the NGO so that it can expand its reach to more and more people and reduce neonatal mortality in India. So now I think I'd like to open the questions, audience questions.
Sure. Meanwhile, for those who are not a part of the Value Talks Telegram group or the YouTube channel, they can use these links to subscribe to the Telegram group and YouTube channel.
Well, if there are questions, I'll encourage everyone to kind of post those questions to just put the phone number here. Once again, share my screen.
Or they can just put the questions on the Telegram group.
There's a number here. Yeah, they can put it on the Telegram group that you just shared. That's I think is the best
Yeah.
way. So with that, we come to an end to our talk today. Vipul, thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, Vikas. Right. So we have a retirement planning workshop tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. being hosted by Major Jay Sharma, Shaurya Chakra, self, and Jitendra Chaudhary, who has 17 plus years of experience in mutual fund investments, government bonds, investment planning. He is BCom honors, MBA finance, SEBI registered investment advisor, MFI certified, IRDA registered, and a goal planning expert. We both would be doing this workshop for the armed forces officers who are retiring and they need to plan their retirement corpus investment.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, Vikas. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Vipul, and thank you everyone for joining this talk.
You gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on